On August 21, 2025, the world of evangelical Christianity and conservative activism lost a towering figure whose voice shaped the lives of millions. Dr. James Clayton Dobson Jr., known to many as simply Jim, passed away at the age of 89 in his Colorado Springs home, leaving behind a legacy that stirred both admiration and controversy. His death, confirmed by the Dr. James Dobson Family Institute, came after a brief illness, though the exact cause was not disclosed, as the Institute noted in a statement that spoke of his quiet passing at home. Born on April 21, 1936, in Shreveport, Louisiana, Jim rose from humble roots to become a child psychologist, best-selling author, and the founder of Focus on the Family, a ministry that reached over 220 million people daily across 164 countries through its radio broadcasts. Survived by his wife of 64 years, Shirley, and their two children, Danae and Ryan, Jim's life was a blend of deep faith, unwavering conviction, and a commitment to family that made him a beacon for conservative Christians and a lightning rod for critics. With a net worth estimated at $4 to $5 million, his wealth was a footnote to the profound influence he wielded, advising 5 U.S. presidents and shaping cultural debates on marriage, parenting, and morality. Today, we explore the life of James Dobson, his cause of death, age, wife, net worth, lifestyle, and biography. A story of faith, family, and a polarizing legacy that continues to echo. Jim's journey began in Shreveport, Louisiana, where he was born into a devout family of Nazarene ministers, the only child of Myrtle, Georgia, and James C. Dobson Sr. Growing up in a religious household, Jim traveled with his father, an evangelist who preached across the Southwest, instilling in him a deep spiritual foundation. As a young boy, he was forbidden from dancing or attending movies, focusing instead on his studies and faith, a discipline that shaped his later views on moral absolutes. His childhood was marked by simplicity and struggle, with his parents' modest means teaching him resilience, as he later shared in his writings. At Pasadena College, now Point Loma Nazarene University, Jim captained the tennis team and met Shirley Deer, the woman who would become his lifelong partner. After graduating in 1958, he served briefly in the National Guard before pursuing a doctorate in child development at the University of Southern California, earned in 1967. His early career at Children's Hospital Los Angeles and as an associate clinical professor at USC's Keck School of Medicine exposed him to the counterculture of the 1960s, a time he found distressing for its lack of moral clarity, fueling his resolve to guide families through a biblical lens. Jim's rise to prominence began with a single book that sparked a movement. In 1970, he published Dare to Discipline, a parenting manual advocating moderate corporal punishment to curb disruptive behavior, positioning him as a counterpoint to Dr. Benjamin Spock's permissive parenting philosophy. The book, selling over 4.5 million copies, made Jim a household name among evangelical parents seeking structure in a changing world. In 1977, he founded Focus on the Family in Southern California, a nonprofit that grew into a $140 million multimedia empire by the 1990s, producing radio programs, magazines, films, and over 70 books authored by Jim, including The New Strong-Willed Child and When God Doesn't Make Sense. His daily radio show, broadcast on over 4,000 stations across North America and translated into 27 languages, reached millions with practical, faith-based advice on marriage and parenting. In 1981, he established the Family Research Council, a think tank advocating conservative policies, and served on White House panels under Presidents Reagan, Bush, Clinton, and Trump, earning praise from figures like Jerry Falwell, who called him a rising star in 1989. Jim's influence peaked in the 1980s and 1990s as he rallied evangelicals to oppose abortion, same-sex marriage, and LGBTQ+ rights, shaping the modern religious right with his unyielding vision of biblical family values. At the core of Jim's life was his marriage to Shirley Deer, whom he wed on August 26, 1960, in a ceremony he described as a sacred commitment rooted in faith. Shirley, a dedicated homemaker and later a leader in her own right as chair of the National Day of Prayer Task Force, was his partner in both life and ministry, raising their daughter, Danae, and son, Ryan, with a focus on biblical principles. Jim often spoke of Shirley as his spiritual companion, crediting her for her unwavering support through his demanding career. Their children followed in their footsteps. Danae, an author, received a golden key necklace from Jim at age 10, symbolizing a commitment to purity, while Ryan, an adopted advocate for troubled youth, took on leadership roles in Focus on the family's magazines. Jim's family extended to 2 grandchildren, and he remained close to his siblings, though little is known about them, as he kept personal details private. Despite his public persona, Jim was introspective, grappling with the counterculture's impact and his own calling to counsel Christians, a mission born from his early work as a psychologist at the Institute of Family Relations in Los Angeles. Jim's lifestyle reflected his Southern roots and disciplined faith, tempered by the demands of his influential career. His net worth, estimated at $4 to $5 million, stemmed from book royalties, radio syndication, and his leadership of Focus on the Family, which at its peak employed over 1,000 people. Yet, he lived modestly in Colorado Springs, where he moved the ministry in 1991, earning the city the nickname Evangelical Vatican. His home, shared with Shirley, was a haven of simplicity, filled with books, family photos, and mementos from his tennis days. Jim was an avid reader, often diving into theology and psychology, and enjoyed quiet walks in Colorado's mountains, which he called his place to hear God. His health was robust until his later years, though a 1998 stroke, caused by a tiny blood clot in his brain's eloquence cortex, briefly sidelined him. Shirley's quick actions saved his life, and he returned to work within days, determined to continue his mission. Jim's charitable efforts were channeled through his organizations, supporting family-focused initiatives and quietly aiding local Colorado Springs charities. His opposition to progressive cultural shifts, including feminism and transgender rights, often sparked controversy, but he remained steadfast, viewing his work as a defense of God's design for family. The final chapter of Jim's life was marked by a quiet yet profound exit. On August 21, 2025, he passed away at his Colorado Springs home, surrounded by family, after a brief illness that his institute described as a peaceful departure. The lack of a disclosed cause reflected Jim's private nature, even in death, as his family focused on his legacy rather than specifics. Social media platforms like X erupted with tributes, with fans writing, "Dr. Dobson's voice was my guide through parenthood," while critics, like Wayne Bazin of Truth Wins Out, called his legacy cruelty disguised as Christianity. The Family Research Council, labeled a hate group by the Southern Poverty Law Center in 2010 for its anti-LGBTQ+ stance, underscored the polarizing nature of Jim's work. His final years were spent at the Dr. James Dobson Family Institute, founded in 2010 after leaving Focus on the Family, where he hosted Family Talk, a radio show reaching 500,000 weekly listeners. His 2022 celebration of the Supreme Court's overturning of Roe v. Wade was a capstone to his decades-long fight against abortion, a victory he called a tide change in a ministry broadcast. The outpouring of grief from figures like Tony Perkins, who placed Jim on the Mount Rushmore of Christian conservatives, highlighted his enduring impact. Jim Dobson's legacy is a complex tapestry of faith, influence, and division. His 36 books, translated into dozens of languages, and his radio programs, heard by millions, transformed evangelical parenting and political activism. Supporters credit him with strengthening families, with stories like that of historian John Fia, whose father became a better parent through Jim's advice. Critics, however, argue his views on homosexuality and gender roles fueled intolerance, a charge he dismissed as left-wing resentment in a 2019 newsletter. His mentorship of figures like Tony Perkins and his role in building institutions like the Family Research Council ensured his influence would outlive him. Jim's life was a testament to his belief in the biblical family, a vision he pursued with unrelenting passion, even as it sparked fierce debate. His love for Shirley, his children, and his grandchildren grounded him, a reminder that behind the public figure was a man who lived for his faith and family. If James Dobson's story, his unwavering conviction, his profound love, and his complex legacy has moved you, please like this video and subscribe to our channel. Let's honor his impact by reflecting on the values that shape our lives. Thank you for joining us in celebrating the remarkable life of Dr. James Dobson. Until next time, may his story inspire you to hold fast to what matters most.